What if I told you the largest restaurant chain in the world didn't get there by opening restaurants? What if its global empire, with over 40,000 locations, wasn't built with the company's own money? Instead, it was built using the life savings of thousands of small business owners. Entrepreneurs who paid for the privilege of building a brand that wasn't their own. This isn't a trick. It's a business model so powerful it transformed modern capitalism. A strategy that allowed one company to outsource the risk, the cost, and the labor of expansion, while keeping the lion's share of the profit. This is the story of how McDonald's perfected the franchise model. The Golden Arches are one of the most recognizable symbols on Earth. A beacon of consistency, found in over 100 countries. The company's scale is almost incomprehensible. It serves nearly 70 million people every single day. But this global dominance was not inevitable. In the 1950s, McDonald's was just a single, highly efficient burger stand in San Bernardino, California. The journey from one location to 40,000 required a revolutionary approach to growth. An approach that didn't rely on the company's own balance sheet. So, how did McDonald's convince thousands of independent entrepreneurs to fund its global expansion? How did they create a system so perfect and so profitable that it became the blueprint for nearly every fast food chain, hotel, and retail service that followed? That is the strategy we are unlocking today. Our story begins with a paradox. The men who invented McDonald's had no interest in building a McDonald's empire. In 1948, brothers Dick and Mac McDonald were operational geniuses. They had transformed their restaurant into an assembly line, which they called the Speedy Service System. By limiting the menu and optimizing every step, they could deliver burgers and fries with unprecedented speed and consistency. They had built a better mousetrap. But they lacked the ambition to build more. They were content running their single, profitable location. That ambition arrived in 1954, in the form of a 52-year-old milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc. Kroc saw the brothers' system and was mesmerized. He didn't just see a burger stand, he saw a blueprint. A system that could be replicated on every street corner in America. He convinced the reluctant brothers to let him become their national franchising agent. The initial deal was simple. Kroc would sell the rights to open a McDonald's restaurant. For this, the new owner, or franchisee, would pay a small one-time fee. The McDonald's Corporation would then collect a royalty of 1.9% of the store's sales. Of that tiny percentage, the McDonald brothers themselves would get 0.5%. This left Ray Kroc with a razor-thin 1.4% margin. And herein lies the first critical problem. Kroc was a brilliant salesman and franchises began to open. But he was making almost no money. A franchisee might earn a comfortable living on $100,000 in annual sales, but Kroc's corporation would see just $1,400 from that success. After his own expenses, he was going broke. The model was flawed. He was selling a concept, but he wasn't capturing its true value. He needed to change the strategy, or his dream would die. This is where Kroc's true genius emerged. He realized he wasn't just selling the rights to a name. He was selling a complete, turnkey business system. The value wasn't the brand McDonald's, it was the process of being McDonald's. Kroc and his team embarked on a mission to standardize every conceivable aspect of the operation. The goal was to create a restaurant that could be run by almost anyone, anywhere, with the exact same result. They dictated the precise thickness of the French fries. They specified the exact number of pickles on a hamburger. They mandated the type of grill, the temperature of the oil, and the cleaning schedule for the restrooms. In 1961, Kroc launched a training program in the basement of a McDonald's restaurant in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. He called it Hamburger University. Here, franchisees were not just taught recipes. They were indoctrinated into the McDonald's system, earning bachelor's degrees in hamburgerology. This obsessive focus on consistency was the first pillar of the new franchise strategy. It ensured that a customer would have the exact same experience in a McDonald's in Florida as they would in Minnesota. This built a level of brand trust that was unheard of at the time. The system was the product. With a replicable system in place, Kroc could now address his financial problem. The solution was to redefine the relationship between the company and the franchisee. The new model was simple: the franchisee would provide the capital. To open a McDonald's, you couldn't just have a desire to flip burgers. You had to have significant capital. The franchisee, not McDonald's Corporation, was responsible for securing the financing for the land, the building, the kitchen equipment, and the initial inventory. This was the second, and most powerful, pillar of the strategy. McDonald's was no longer in the business of building restaurants. It was in the business of selling blueprints to entrepreneurs who would then use their own money to build the restaurants. This single shift unlocked explosive, almost infinite growth. McDonald's corporate expansion was no longer limited by how much money it had in the bank. Its growth was now fueled by the ambition and capital of thousands of independent business owners across the country. Every new franchisee brought a fresh injection of capital into the system, which McDonald's could use to market the brand and refine the system, attracting even more franchisees. It was a virtuous cycle, funded almost entirely by outsiders. The franchisee took on the majority of the financial risk. If a location failed, it was the franchisee who lost their investment. McDonald's corporate lost little more than a potential stream of royalties. But Kroc and his financial advisor, Harry J. Sunborn, soon realized there was a third, even more powerful pillar to add. They had built a system to identify the best entrepreneurs and the best physical locations for a business. Sunborn famously told Kroc, "We are not in the hamburger business. We are in the real estate business." The company created a new subsidiary, the Franchise Realty Corporation. Its job was to buy or lease the land where new restaurants would be built. McDonald's would then sublease that land to the franchisee, usually with a significant markup. The franchisee was now not just a licensee, they were a tenant. This masterstroke did two things. First, it created a second, massive, and incredibly stable revenue stream. Royalties were dependent on sales, which could fluctuate. Rent was due every single month, no matter what. Second, it gave McDonald's ultimate control. If a franchisee failed to meet the brand's exacting standards, McDonald's didn't have to go through a complex legal battle over the franchise agreement. They could simply terminate the lease. The franchisee was now tied to the company not just by a brand agreement, but by a 20-year lease. This combination of a standardized system, franchisee-funded growth, and real estate control created one of the most resilient business models ever conceived. And that is the secret. That is the genius of the McDonald's franchise model. The company's global expansion wasn't funded by Wall Street bankers or its own profits. It was funded by the collective ambition of thousands of middle-class families who bought into the American dream. McDonald's created a system where an aspiring entrepreneur would pay an initial franchise fee for the privilege of joining. Then, that entrepreneur would use their own money, or a bank loan, to pay for a building and equipment that would cost hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of dollars. They would then hire and manage all the employees, handle payroll, order inventory, and take on all the day-to-day risks of running a small business. In exchange for all this risk and investment, McDonald's provided a proven operating manual and a brand name. And for that, the company collected a high-margin royalty check every month from the franchise's sales, and an even bigger rent check for the property. McDonald's successfully outsourced the two most difficult parts of scaling a retail business, the capital investment and the operational management. They didn't sell hamburgers. They sold a business in a box. A very expensive, very profitable box. The franchisee wasn't their primary customer. The franchisee was their most important partner, investor, and tenant, all rolled into one. The McDonald's model provided the definitive blueprint for 20th century growth. It demonstrated that the most valuable product a company can create is not a thing, but a replicable system. This strategy is the hidden engine behind countless global brands we see every day. From Subway and 7-Eleven, to Hilton Hotels and Remax Real Estate. They all operate on this same fundamental principle, using the capital of franchisees to achieve scale that would be impossible alone. The lesson is profound. A successful business is not just an idea. It is a process. And when you perfect that process to the point that it can be taught, repeated, and scaled, you no longer have to build the empire yourself. You can create a system that empowers thousands of others to build it for you. If you learn something new, hit the like button and subscribe for more strategy breakdowns. And let us know in the comments, what company's strategy should we unlock next?